This is Robert Wilson, and you are listening to the Fulham Focus podcast.
Fulham.
Hello, welcome to the Fulham Focus podcast. My name's Matt Boisclair, and it was a thoroughly frustrating game at Bramall Lane at Sunday lunchtime as we took our first point of the season, but it surely should have been all three after a host of missed opportunities from the Whites. For those of you expecting Jmac, I'm afraid you're stuck with me after he pulled up with a hamstring strain in the pre-match warm-up, whilst Matt, Domm and Will Oakley warmed up properly and complete our lineup today. Let's have a look back over this game then, lads.
Fulham.
So following the news that Joachim Andersen is out for a significant period of time, having damaged his ankle ligaments apparently, there was a debut for Toshin Adarabioyo in the Fulham defence alongside Tim Ream, whilst Michael Hector wasn't even in the squad. Ola Aina continued to deputise for the injured Kenny Tete at right back. Anthony Robinson was preferred over Joe Bryan to make up the back four at left back. And Gieser and Kearney sat in front of the back four, whilst Ruben Loftus-Cheek made his debut behind Mitr-oh, with Ademola Lookman and Ivan Cavallero playing either side of him. What were your thoughts on the lineup, Will?
I thought it was a pretty solid lineup. I think apart from Cav and maybe Ream, I look at that and I think, yeah, that's solid. We'll come on to individual performances later, but I thought everyone was pretty good apart from Cav and Mitrovic, but you can't really replace Mitrovic in the lineup. I don't think anyway. So, yeah, I thought it was a solid lineup. Maybe I'm thinking drop Cav, and the other thing is where's Hector? But otherwise, yeah, that's a solid lineup for me.
I think that's about as good as it could have been when you ignore the injured players. I think ideally you'd have Andersen instead of Ream there. And we don't really have many good options on the right, and that's Cavallero. That's really the weak spot now, isn't it? I think a lot of us agreed that would have been when the transfer window closed. That was sort of the position that we really needed to improve in quality. But yeah, it was a good lineup. I think Loftus-Cheek fitted in well before he faded. Just a bit more support for Mitr-oh than Bobby Reid offers or Tom Kearney offers when he's playing there. Yeah, I don't have any complaints really about the lineup.
There's some suggestion that Hector was linked with a move away on Friday's deadline day. Do you think there's any truth in those rumours? And it would kind of be backed up by the fact that he wasn't actually in the squad today. I find it bizarre.
Yeah, I think given that he wasn't even in the squad, you've got to think there must have been something in that. It's a baffling decision to loan him out. I thought it was when it kind of started being reported the other day. I'm thinking he's fair enough. He hasn't played well this season, but he's joined a team. He's finally settled. He's left Chelsea. He's got a permanent move in a team that he's playing football, and he improved us defensively last season. And then to ship him out after a few poor performances was really poor form, I thought. So I don't know what's happened there, but the fact that he wasn't even in the squad suggests that he may well have been close to a move away, and I think that's daft. He's definitely got a role to play for us.
And Will, how do you feel about Joachim Andersen getting injured before even kicking a ball for us? It's almost like somebody's looking down on us and saying, you don't belong in the Premier League, your defence is going to continue to be shit.
Yeah, it's really not ideal, is it? Let's just hope it's not more than a couple of months. Tearing your ankle ligament sounds pretty bad. I wouldn't say I know a lot about it, but he probably will be out for quite a few weeks, and if not, I'd say a few months. But today, Adarabioyo, I thought looked quite good. Step from Blackburn to then up to the Premier League, it can be a big step, but I thought he was decent. And Ream always gets criticism, but I thought he was good today as well. We've still got Hector, who I think does deserve another chance, and Maxime Le Marchand. He's always all right coming off the bench. He's not terrible. So it's not ideal, but I don't think it's like instant panic.
Okay, well, we made a reasonable start. Lots of good movement and possession. And Tom Kearney brought a good early save from Aaron Ramsdale. But Sheffield United also had a couple of good early chances too. The encouraging thing for me was that we looked far more positive attacking, though. Lookman obviously made his first start and looked great going forward, as did Loftus-Cheek. And even Kearney looked good going forwards as well. Didn't you think, Dom?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Lookman is the link that was missing for us last season. I mean, we all know Parker likes possession football and it's cagey and it's defensive perhaps, but with a strong defense, you need to be able to attack at pace. And the players we had before that didn't really fit the bill. But Lookman, he drops into space, he turns and he runs, and we have not got another player that can do that. And he's made a huge difference. And you know, his goal was superb. We'll talk about that later. But the fact that there's players around Mitr-oh who are either looking to get in behind, which Cav did sometimes, but obviously his crossing isn't very good. Lookman coming short and running at players, and then you've got Loftus-Cheek kind of drifting left and right and linking up play. We looked brilliant in midfield, I thought. Apart from, as you said, we gave away a few chances towards the middle of the first half, but aside from that, when they could have scored a couple of goals, I think we were well worth a win, and we should have got a win today.
Yeah, exactly. I think Lookman was absolutely amazing. Like Dom said, we'll talk about his goal later, but I think him and Loftus-Cheek were actually really good. Loftus-Cheek seemed to run out of steam towards the end, but he hasn't played consistent football in quite a long time, really. But yeah, I think Lookman and Loftus-Cheek seem to have a bit of chemistry going on. The midfield I thought was pretty good. Even Kearney was quite good today, and the last couple of games, Kearney's looked really good. And Gwissa, again, who I am literally his biggest fan going, looked absolutely amazing. Box to box. He's, if anything, he's converted more to like a cam than a CDM, but he can play both, and he does play both throughout the match. He doesn't stop running the whole game. He puts in challenges. He's willing to put his body on the line for Fulham, and that's all you really want in a player. I think, yeah, the only thing is Cav, he doesn't know what to do. And for me, I still think it was very, very stupid to loan Knockaert out. I mean, Knockaert hasn't been great, and he probably wasn't brilliant last season, but at least he defends. And someone said on the team chat that Cav drops back into like a wing back. He's definitely not suited to that. If that's going to happen, put Brian in. Or if we're going to do that throughout the season, keep Knockaert, because Knockaert can defend. And I still think it was, stupid to loan him out, because I think he's better than Cav, or he can be better than Cav. But yeah, that's that, I suppose.
It's a fair point. I mean, as we've discussed, that is the weak position. I think Knockaert, Cavallero, AK, Bobby Reid, any of those four there are. It doesn't really matter which one's playing. They're not gonna be the best player on the pitch by a long way. But I was going to add that when we went up through the playoff, I think we had some discussions where we looked at the squad and we were like, who's Premier League quality and who's not. And beyond Mitr-oh, I don't think we could make a claim that any of the players that really got us promoted were good enough, really. I mean, some potentially could have been, some were untested. But you look at that squad today, you've got Anguissa in there, you've got Lookman in there, you've got Loftus-Cheek in there, even Adebayo, fucking hell, Toshin, however you say his name, looks like he could potentially be Premier League quality. And then Tete on the right, it's a much better squad. And I think fighting chance, even though a lot of us said we need to give these players a chance when we went up. I think we've improved in the positions we needed to improve in. And there's been a lot of talk about, we haven't got the right winger, we've still got a crap squad and all that stuff. I think we've made some really good signings. And I think overall the squad looks a damn sight stronger than the one we got relegated with before and the squad that got us promoted last year.
It's still very easy to criticise when we're not picking up wins, though. And people will always do that. We've got 1 point in 5 games, which isn't great. Defensively, we still look extremely shaky when we're under pressure. And we were fortunate that we were playing a side today who struggled to score, in all honesty. Some of our defending in the first half would have been punished had we been playing a better side. Adebayo stuck one away in his own net, of course, but thankfully there were 4 Sheffield United attackers offside, and not for the only time this afternoon as well. But it did feel like we were riding our luck a little bit, didn't it? Will, what did you think about us defensively today, particularly in the first half? Because the second half, we were much better.
Yeah, it was very shaky. I mean, that offside goal, I was thinking, we got away with that. But there was quite a few offside calls later on where maybe we did just keep our line really well and we played them offside. But it just looked like that offside goal. It did look quite lucky. Other times, yeah, fair enough. That's good defending. But yeah, I don't know. I thought Ream was actually quite good, like individually. And I thought the same as Adarabioyo. I thought individually he looked really good. But I still think it's kind of a sense of getting them to play together well, like getting a good partnership going. Because the problem is if we keep chopping and changing through, Hector, Anderson, Adarabioyo, Ream, Lamarchand, it's not going to work. I think we need 2 solid starters and maybe one to fill in if the other one can't play. I think we will get there eventually. But at the moment, they look good individually. I think it will just take a bit of time to look solid throughout the whole 90 minutes.
I think Scott Parker is still trying a few things out. After the Wolves game, I think a lot of us agreed that seemed to be what might work. We played 5 at the back defensively, but with kind of 2 left backs really, with Joe Bryan getting forward and Robinson coming up alongside him, and it seemed to work. But today, I thought we were even better. Apart from that spell, that cagey spell where we conceded a few chances, I thought the defensive line was better. It's easier to keep in line with 4, not 5. And it allowed us to be quicker on the break. In the first half, it didn't really come off for us, but there were a few chances in that second half where, with better end products, we could have really put the game to bed. Lookman really helps with that. And I think playing a winger who is an attacking winger is a better option because you can turn defence to attack faster. And I think in that second half, it is how we should play going forward, because that was really good. And I don't think we'll have a half like that where we don't win this season and play that well.
Problem we do have at the moment, you mentioned that Scott Parker's still trying things out, but this isn't a rehearsal. This is the Premier League. We got 38 games to try and muster up 35, 40 points to stay up. We've already had 5 points and we've only got 1 point so far. And arguably we still don't know what our best side is. And this was kind of our undoing last time as well, albeit in slightly different circumstances. There's no room for manoeuvre here. We just need to settle really, really quickly. We've got some winnable games coming up now. But it's all very well saying they're winnable. And then when we do the post-match analysis, when we haven't won, we talk about the positives that we can take. But there's only so many times you can do that. But we need points on the board. That's the bottom line. And we're not getting them at the moment. At the beginning of the second half at Bramall Lane, Ramsdale fumbled a cross, which presented Lookman with a chance, but the Sheffield United keeper recovered to make an excellent block. Then we were awarded a stonewall penalty, which Mitr-oh blasted over the bar. He hadn't done much all game, and then this, Will.
Yeah, I was fuming. 12 yards out, our player of the season last season scored 26 goals, and he does that. I mean, it skimmed the crossbar, but hardly. Like, let's be real. And the thing is, Billy Sharp tried or pulled off exactly what Mitr-oh was trying later on in the game with the penalty, and it's just frustrating. I think he looked very annoyed during that game, very frustrated, maybe about the lack of service, but obviously he did get that service later on, which I'm sure we'll probably talk about, and he didn't get any chance, didn't get any goals out of it, and one of them especially was an easy goal to score for him anyway. He'd be scoring them last season easily. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, he's just got back from international duty. I think he was actually quite good for Serbia, but maybe he's just frustrated, and it must be difficult at the moment.
But it's not a confidence thing with him, is it? He's always full of confidence, and you know he'll miss a chance, but then the next one he'll probably stick away. But 12 yards out, the least you'd expect from a striker is to hit the target.
Yeah, it's not acceptable to miss the target from 12 yards out. It's not. And first thing is you want your striker to be the penalty. For me, I want my striker to be the penalty taker. He's the goal scorer. So first thing is first. He steps up. He wants every penalty. Fine, hit the target. He's always trying to hit the point just behind the crossbar and the roof of the net. And as we've seen in the past, he's not the best at them. So maybe it is time for someone else to take them. But then who is it? You know, and he scored 8 and 8 for Serbia or something like that. So he's on a run internationally, and he's always a confident player. So it's just you have to score. If the keeper saves it, fine, that's one thing. But hit the target. There's no excuses for it.
Oh, I bet AK-47 was livid, sat on the bench. Well, shortly afterwards, we found ourselves 5 against 2 on the counter-attack. It looked odds on we were going to score, but Cavallero was tasked with squaring the ball and trying to pick out one of those many players that were queuing up to score, but he somehow managed to find one of the 2 defenders with his cross. I'm beginning to understand why Wolves moved him on, and there weren't a host of teams in the Premier League queuing up to take him. He wasn't the only one, though. We just weren't ruthless enough, despite some good attacking pressure. That is until the 77th minute. Will, talk me through Ademola Lookman's fantastic goal.
Yeah, he looked lively all game, and he's one of those players that seems to do it for the full 90 minutes. You know, he doesn't stop running, kind of similar to Anguissa in the effort that he shows and the passion that he shows. You could say he got a bit lucky with the touch that came off the defender, but you've also got to think he also stayed on his feet and, you know, stayed strong when he's running between 2 defenders. That's always going to be difficult to do. And, you know, he got through. It's a great finish when he gets there as well, right into the kind of roof of the net, or, you know, the upper bit of the goal. And the keeper's not really got any chance. So it's a great run. And for me, he deserved a goal more than anyone else on the pitch.
I was wondering before that goal whether Will, you just made the point, he's a 90-minute player. I was wondering, because he sort of goes through spells in the game where he doesn't do a lot, and then he can pull off something like that, which is, it's just incredible. And I was wondering whether he didn't have the legs for 90 minutes. That completely proved me wrong. And you know, he reminds me of Shawnee Aluko, but with an end product. It seems like the closest player we've had since Aluko. And I thought when we had Aluko, we were a much better attacking team. And when we lost something because we didn't have anyone who could take someone on the halfway line and drive and run at the goal and terrify defenders. And he looked to fit the bill. He looks an upgrade on Luco, and absolutely delighted with the way he started.
Superb. Well, Mario Lemina came on for Ruben Loftus-Cheek with 10 minutes to go. Dom, how did you think Ruben's debut went? Talking of upgrades.
Yeah, I think you can see he's a quality player. First sort of 20, 25 minutes, he was excellent. He was involved with everything. He was linking up the midfield to Mitr-oh, and he was also drifting left and right and just wanting to be involved with everything. He clearly is lacking fitness, because in the whole of the half, I think he was just running on gas. We didn't see a lot of him in that second half, but there's not much you can do when that fitness will come. And if he plays enough games, he'll be match fit, and he's going to be a real asset. Much better than anything in that position. The closest comparison, I suppose, we've got is Josh Onoma, and I think even on one game, you would say you'd pick Ruben Loftus-Cheek every time. And also, I noticed a few times he's quite a smart player, in that a few times in that game he looked up, saw that his only option was Cavallero, and decided to do something else because it wasn't Cavallero's day. And he was obviously as frustrated with the way he was playing as we were. So with good players around him, I think there's a real talent there, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do.
Yeah, exactly. I thought he was great. I think, like you say, he's just an upgrade on Josh Onoma, can kind of play between midfield and striker, and can even drop into centre midfield or push up to striker. And it's good because he presses alongside Mitrovic, which, you know, Mitrovic doesn't run a lot, but Loftus-Cheek seems to be able to do it. Like you say, he's kind of a bit short on match fitness because he did start to run out of legs towards the end. But yeah, I thought he seemed really good. And on Lemina, you just mentioned he came on for Loftus-Cheek. He only had, 15 minutes, but I thought he was actually really good. I think he showed good passes, good skill as well. I think he created a chance where he just dribbled past 2-3 defenders and managed to find the space. So I would actually quite like to see him start next game. Obviously, now when everyone's fit, we're going to have a lot of midfield options. Whether Harrison Reed comes back next game as well. We then got Kenny, Anguissa, Lemina, Reed, Loftus-Cheek, or everyone to consider. And especially because Kearney's been doing quite well. If we signed Loftus-Cheek at the start of the window and, we still had Kearney, I would say, yeah, drop Kearney straight away. But he started the Premier League off pretty well. So it's going to be hard to judge who starts in midfield. But I thought Lemina actually played pretty well in the 15 minutes he was given and would kind of like to see him start next game.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. I was going to ask, who does he replace? Because, as you say, the default option would be Kearney, but I thought he was excellent today. I thought that was one of his best Premier League games he's played for us, Tom Kearney. Could have scored on another day, stopped by a really good save. Linked up play, looked to pass it forward. I think Lemina's a good option off the bench at the moment. I'm not sure he's shown enough to start, but I don't think it's worth dropping anyone for him at the moment.
I completely agree with that. I was just about to say, I think that the way Lemina played in those 15 minutes when he came off the bench, he looks like he's the sort of player that could change a game. Whereas I don't feel like bringing Tom Kearney on off the bench would change a game. But I was probably one of the bigger critics of Tom Kearney last season in the Championship, and very much question whether he was good enough to be anywhere near the first team in the Premier League this season. But he's in the team on merit at the moment, and he looked excellent today. As you said, Will, as well, you're a big fan of Anguissa. So am I. I thought he was outstanding today. Him and Kearney kind of ran that midfield in a lot of ways. All right, it was only Sheffield United who are one of the not so glamorous sides of the Premier League, but at the moment, Tom Kearney starts for me, and until he has a bad game, that's the thing. We said this about the goalkeeper situation as well. I felt like Areola had a great game today, but Rodat never really did anything to get dropped, and until Kearney does anything to get dropped, then he's in the team as far as I'm concerned. Speaking of dropped, 5 minutes before the end, Areola dropped across. The ball was cleared and Lemina went on a hazy run before Tom Kearney brought another good save out of the Sheffield United goalkeeper, Aaron Ramsdale. But as we've seen a few times in the Premier League this season already, there was a VAR check going on whilst we were waiting to take the resulting corner. And lo and behold, Mitr-oh was adjudged to have given a foul away in the penalty area. Penalty to Sheffield United, and it's 1-1. Billy Sharp scores. Dom, was it a penalty for you?
It's infuriating. By the letter of the law, he's got there a millisecond later than is it Robinson? I can't remember who he fouled. A millisecond later, they're both going up with high feet towards the ball, and they've just both swung at it. And as far as I can see, they both pretty much missed it because there was no control on the contact that Robinson made. And it was like a minute and a half ago. I don't remember a lot of complaints at the time. There was a sort of appeals you get when someone goes down in the box, which is nothing out of the ordinary. And the thing is it clear and obvious? Has he missed a really clear foul? I don't think so. It's just two players physically trying to get to the ball. And by the letter of the law, maybe it is a penalty, but the game's moved on. Forget about it. It didn't happen. I don't think anyone really wants to see that the game gets pulled back a minute and a half later for a minor foul. And it just wasn't we deserved more than that for the way we played in that second half, and it was just incredibly frustrating. And yeah, I'm not happy with it at all. I think it's ridiculous.
The VAR debate will rumble on and on and on, but for me, VAR should be used when the referee thinks that there may be something that he's not sure about, and he should be the one to go to VAR and say, can you just check that for me? Rather than VAR checking everything and getting in his ear and saying, hang on a minute, we're just checking something that happened 5 minutes ago. It spoils the game.
You're right. And also it's really, you can't have a physical powerhouse striker anymore, because we already saw against, was it Villa? I think Mitr-oh sort of just using his strength against a defender who went down easily, and we gave away a foul instead of a goal. And obviously Mitr-oh hasn't had his best game, but I just think you're going to see that a lot of the time. A lot of his game is dominating defenders, and if a referee sees a tiny thing wrong with what he does, he's going to get decisions go against him. And it's like, it doesn't benefit you to have that that strong physical striker who dominates defenders anymore, because they're going to find something that he does wrong.
It's easy for us to say because we've got Mitrovic, who is that type of player. But that type of player has always been part of English football. And, giving those kind of decisions is frustrating for us, obviously. You're not going to get the likes of Man City complaining about those types of decisions because they've got very quick and technical types of players. And I'm not saying that Mitrovic isn't a technical player, but he's obviously not the quickest. But he is a physical player, and that's part of the game. And removing that just spoils it for me. What do you think, Will? Was it a penalty for you?
I mean, like Dom said, by the law, yeah, I suppose it is, but it's literally like a millisecond after. I mean, they've both tried to do the exact same thing. Their legs are both at exactly the same height. They've both tried to kick the ball in at the exact same time in the exact same place. And one of them has just lifted their leg a bit higher, or maybe not even that. Maybe he just got there quicker. He was just in a better position. I don't think should be a penalty. I don't think that's worth going back to VAR to look at. It's not clear and obvious. He's not like tried to be malicious in wiping him out. He just tried to clear the ball.
He's hurt Mitro. Like he's got to the ball a millisecond before Mitro, and he's not injured him, but could there not be a case for dangerous play from him?
Yeah, they both went down
slightly before Mitro.
Yeah, they both went down, and you could say that the Sheffield United player had a high foot. You could also say Mitrovic had a high foot. But I'm not being funny, it's just a collision that should not be going to VAR ever.
But they don't pull that back. If that if that striker's fouled Mitrovic, they don't pull that back when we've got a corner. So what's the point?
No, because they're not looking at attacking fouls in the box, are they?
No, it's ridiculous. It's just so one-sided and weighted in favour of the attacking team. It's stupid. Stupid rule, stupid VAR. It can do one. Anyway, let's move on. Let's continue to talk about Mitro's miserable afternoon, because it was compounded when he missed a header in injury time after more brilliant work from Lutman down the left-hand side. He's risen above everybody. He's got great contact on it, but he's missed the target. Probably one of Mitro's most disappointing games in a Fulham shirt, I'd say, for me. What about you, Will?
Yeah, bang on. I mean, it was disappointed. Like I said, he looked so frustrated during the game, and after he missed chances, he just looked so annoyed. But it just wasn't good enough. I mean, on another day, he'd be burying those chances easily. He could have got a hat trick, penalty and two pretty easy headers. The first one definitely was. That one, to be fair, quite far out. He's had to get quite high up. But he's missed the target on both of them. He hasn't even made the keeper work. So for me, one of his worst games in a Fulham shirt. And it's unlucky because Lukman playing the crosses into him is probably one of the best wingers he's had alongside him in the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, it's one of his worst games in a Fulham shirt, but it's inches away from being one of his best, isn't it? Because he puts that penalty, 6 inches lower. It's a brilliant penalty. If VAR doesn't call that back, he doesn't give away the penalty. And then at the other end, on another day, which is a better chance for him than a penalty, is that header. So just crazy. It's harsh because he kept trying, and I'm reluctant to criticise him too much because he kept going and he wanted to score, and he really should have done.
That's all you can ask for him, though, to keep getting in those positions. And all the while he's getting in those positions, then he's going to score goals. And if Lukman's going to pick him out, then he'll get 15 goals this season. He's already got a couple. And like you say, he probably should have had 3 today. But it wasn't to be for him today. And I guess this was his Brighton away of the last Premier League season, where he gave that penalty away when we were 2-0 up. So let's hope that our fortunes start to change and we start to pick up some results in the next few games. But talking of Ademola Lookman, he was asked about his goal in the post-match interview, and he said it doesn't matter as we didn't get the 3 points. He sounded absolutely despondent as he felt that we should have won the game. And I found myself really appreciating that attitude, because he's right. We were good enough to win the game, and we should have won the game, shouldn't we?
Yeah, it's a fantastic attitude, I think. I thought the same. It was like, he obviously wants to score goals to help the team win. And as good as Ryan Babel was for us when we went down last time, if you asked that question to Ryan Babel, he'd have talked about his goal, wouldn't he? Let's face it, he's Ryan Babel's playing football for Instagram likes, and Lookman's playing football to help his team win games. I really like that attitude. So long may it continue. I think he's excellent, and if he keeps playing like that, then I think we've got a real good chance of staying up.
Good stuff, mate. Yeah, I agree. All right, well, let's come on to a man of the match rating then. Will, who was your man of the match this afternoon?
It's got to be Lookman for me. He was so lively, scored the goal, got us a point, really. For me, though, I think special mention to Ream. I thought good head in. He's not the strongest player, so he did get pushed around a lot, but he stayed on his feet and wasn't afraid to go in for challenges. But yeah, Lookman for me, but Ream, solid.
I had my mum over to watch the game again today, and every time she sees Tim Ream, she says, "Oh, Ream, get your hair cut." Mum, get over it. The style he's gone for. Come on.
He's our lion.
Yeah. What about you, Dom? Who's your man of the match, mate?
I think it's got to be Lookman as well. I'd give the honourable mention to Areola today. Apart from that one fumble that led to the penalty, did it in the end? I think. But he was claiming those throw-ins, like he was just pushing his way through a sea of players every time and making it his. And that's what I want to see from a goalkeeper, just commanding his box when crosses come in. He made a really good save when in the first half that could have gone in easily. He does everything he's asked to do and does it well. But Lookman for his goal and his general ability to attack from when we're defending is something we've desperately needed. And great performance from him.
You're right. It was a good performance by Areola as well. You're right. And every time I mention Areola, I seem to mention Rodak and how unfortunate Rodak was. But Areola does command his penalty area, as you said, and he does actually come and catch the ball instead of flapping and punching. So that is a real asset to us, and it's good to have him. For me, I know it's you guys have both gone for Lookman as man of the match, but for me, I'm gonna say Anguissa because I thought he dominated the midfield and he really pushed us on, and he just looked a cut above the rest. I know Lookman will win the plaudits, but obviously because of his goal and because of his creative ability as well, and he looked very good and threatening every time he got the ball. But I just thought Anguissa drove us forward through the middle time and time again. He got an early yellow card for a tactical foul, but he didn't let that bother him. He was still sticking his foot in where it was needed. And yeah, I can't speak highly enough of Anguissa so far this season. And I thought he was excellent again today. Let's come on to Scott Parker then. Dom, I'm going to come to you first. What was your Scott Parker rating today?
It's a tricky one. I think if we'd have held on for the win, it would have been an 8 or a 9. But it's a 7, just because we didn't get the 3 points. It was a good starting lineup. I didn't really have any complaints about that. I don't think we attacked with enough pace in the first half, and we could have been 2-0 behind at the break, which I think would have been a bit unfair. But they did create some good chances. Second half, whatever we said to them at half time worked because we were superb. Like I can't fault any player in that second half apart from Mitr-oh for giving away the penalty, but even then it's reluctant to blame him for that at all. He obviously saw there was a chance to break and counter, and he told them to go for it because we looked a much better, quicker attacking side in that second half, and that is the blueprint for how we need to play this season. So it's a 7 for me because we didn't manage to hold on for the win, but it's not particularly his fault that we didn't.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. Actually, I had 7 in mind for this game as well. The first half wasn't great defensively, but we were still trying to get forward. But the second half, we just completely took the game to Sheffield United, who have made some big signings. They spent a bit of money. They signed Brian Brewster, who I felt like BT Sport were desperate to score. They were desperate for him to score. But we didn't really give him that much of a sniff in the second half, and so how we didn't win the game, I don't know. And we've criticised Mitrovic, but as I said earlier on, at least he was there to miss the opportunities, and as long as he's there, then he'll score more than he misses, I think. So 7 out of 10 for me for Scott. What about you, Will?
Yeah, 7s all round, I think. I mean, I probably could have gone maybe 6, but I think 7's fair enough. The second half was much better than the first half. I think maybe he could have made a couple of subs earlier on, maybe taking Cav off, but, we were playing well. We scored the goal and conceded very late on. I don't think the goal's really his fault. It's really unlucky. And like you say, on another day, we could have got 3 points there. I think we've got to keep faith in Parker, really. We've seen that he can set up his team in different ways. He just needs to work out what games to, certain games to play certain players and certain games to play certain tactics. And yeah, if we just keep our cool with him and realise that he's a good manager and he's a perfectionist, he likes to get everything right. So I think we just need to appreciate his tactics and give him a bit more time.
We're seeing progress now as well, though, aren't we? Because after those first 3 games where we conceded a shed load of goals against Arsenal, Leeds and Villa, we played much better and we looked much better defensively against Wolves away, who finished 7th twice in a row. They're a decent side. And, all right, Sheffield United, they're probably going to be there or thereabouts at the bottom of the table this season, but we still had to go up there and play well against them, where our confidence is particularly low because we've not won any games this season, and we did it. So I'm seeing progress, and that's, I guess, aside from winning every game and getting points each week, that's as much as we can ask for. Dom?
Yeah, I agree. And before the game, they spoke to Michael Brown, and he said both managers are going to be, they're only going to care about the result, not the performance here. I don't entirely agree with that, because I think if you're playing well, if you're performing, if you're creating chances, if you're the better team, then over the length of a season, then that will equate to you doing enough, more often than not. Whereas if you're getting lucky and picking up wins, then you might win 3 in a row, 1-0. But if you're playing badly, you're going to lose a lot of games. So I was very, very happy to see the improvement in Wolves defensively, and then we've stepped up to improve going forward as well, because I thought we were excellent in attack and we could have scored 3-4 goals in that second half.
Lovely stuff, mate. All right, well, let's leave it there. Thanks for joining me, both of you. We'll be back on Thursday morning to look ahead to Saturday's match with Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace at Craven Cottage, and there'll be a player in focus chat about Breda Hangeland to look forward to as well. Until then, have a great week and speak to you soon. Cheers.
Fulham.